Your phone buzzes, you already know it's probably nothing, a notification about a sale. A like on a photo from 3 days ago, something that will not matter in an hour. And yet your hand is already moving toward it before your mind has even decided to move. You pick it up, you look, there's nothing there, no message, no new like, just the same lock screen staring back at you. You put it down. 30 seconds later, you pick it up again. You didn't decide to do that, it just happened, like your hand had its own plan. Maybe you've told yourself you'll stop, you've turned off notifications, you've put the phone in another room. You've said out loud to a friend or to yourself, I need to check my phone less. And for an hour, maybe 2, it works. Then you're reaching for it again, almost without noticing, the way you might reach for a railing on a staircase you've walked 1,000 times. You're in the middle of a conversation with someone you care about, and your phone is sitting on the table between you, screen down. And some part of you is still half listening to it, waiting, like it might say something. You're lying in bed, exhausted, eyes burning, and you tell yourself just one more scroll. And somehow 40 minutes pass and you don't remember a single thing you looked at. You open the app, you don't even know which one, your thumb just knows the motion. Or maybe it happens at a red light. The car in front of you hasn't even moved yet, and your phone is already in your hand, screen lighting up your face for the 3 seconds before the light turns green. You put it down before anyone notices. You've done this so many times it doesn't even register as a decision anymore. Or you're watching a show you actually like, something you chose, something you were looking forward to all week, and somehow you're also scrolling through your phone at the same time, half paying attention to both, fully present in neither. Later you can't remember what happened in the episode, you just remember the feeling of your thumb moving. This isn't a willpower problem. This isn't you being lazy or weak or addicted to being entertained. This is something your brain has been quietly practicing for a long time, and it has gotten very, very good at it. Think about the last time you were bored waiting in line, not scrolling, just standing there with nothing to look at, nothing to do. Notice how uncomfortable that feels now. That discomfort didn't exist 10 years ago the same way it does today. Something changed, not in the world around you, in you. Here's the strange part. You don't even have to want to check your phone for your hand to reach for it. You can hate the habit and still do it. You can resent the time it eats and still lose an hour to it. You can feel worse after every single scroll and open the app again 5 minutes later anyway. That gap between what you want and what you actually do is not a character flaw. It's a clue. It's telling you that something underneath your conscious decisions is running the show, at least some of the time. So what is actually happening underneath it? What is your brain doing every time your hand moves toward that screen? It starts with a small chemical messenger called dopamine. For a long time, dopamine got labeled as the brain's pleasure chemical, and that idea is mostly wrong. Dopamine isn't really about pleasure, it's about anticipation. It spikes not when you get the reward, but right before, when your brain thinks something good might be coming. This was first shown clearly in the 1990s in experiments by neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz, who recorded activity from dopamine neurons in monkeys as they learned to expect a reward after a signal. Over time, the dopamine spike stopped happening when the reward arrived. It started happening earlier, at the moment the signal appeared, the moment that predicted the reward was coming. Your phone is full of those signals. Every time you unlock it, there's a chance, not a guarantee, of something good. A message, a like, news, something new. Your brain doesn't need the good thing to happen every time. It just needs the possibility to be there. This is where a second piece comes in, something psychologists call variable ratio reinforcement, first studied by B.F. Skinner decades before smartphones existed. Skinner found that when a reward comes on an unpredictable schedule, sometimes after 1 try, sometimes after 10, the behavior that leads to that reward becomes far more persistent and far harder to stop than when the reward is predictable. It's the same mechanism that makes slot machines so hard to walk away from. Not because the payout is big, but because you never know which pull will be the one. Your phone runs on the exact same schedule. Sometimes you check it and there's something there. Sometimes there isn't. You can't predict which. So your brain keeps trying the same way it would keep pulling a lever, because the not knowing is part of what keeps you reaching. Now layer in a region of your brain called the anterior cingulate cortex, an area involved in detecting uncertainty and conflict. When you're not sure whether something is happening, a message you're waiting for, a reply you haven't gotten, this region lights up and generates a low hum of tension. Checking your phone, even when you find nothing, temporarily quiets that hum. That's the mechanism behind that pull you feel mid-conversation, the sense that your phone might be saying something even when it's silent. Part of your brain is still monitoring for uncertainty, and checking is the fastest way it knows to resolve it, even if only for a few seconds. This is also why turning off notifications alone doesn't fully solve the problem. Notifications aren't the only trigger. Uncertainty is. Even a phone that never buzzes still holds the possibility of something new, and that possibility alone is enough to activate the same anticipation that a real notification would. This is worth sitting with for a second. It means the pull you feel isn't really about the specific app or the specific person you're hoping texted you. It's about your brain's relationship with not knowing. That's why switching from one app to another rarely helps. You close one, feel a small itch of unresolved uncertainty, and open the next, because the itch was never really about the content. It was about the checking. Over time, this loop, small hit of anticipation, quick check, brief relief, becomes a habit stored partly in a brain region called the dorsal striatum. This is the same region involved in learning any habitual behavior, from brushing your teeth to driving a familiar route. Once a behavior becomes stored here, it stops requiring much conscious decision-making at all. That's why your hand can move toward your phone before you've consciously decided to check it. The decision-making already happened thousands of times before, and your brain compressed it into something closer to reflex. There's one more piece worth understanding because it explains why the pull feels stronger at night, when you're tired, than it does earlier in the day. A brain region called the prefrontal cortex, sitting right behind your forehead, is responsible for a lot of what we think of as self-control, weighing long-term consequences against short-term impulses, deciding that closing the app matters more than one more scroll. But the prefrontal cortex is also one of the most energy-hungry, easily fatigued parts of the brain. When you're exhausted, stressed, or mentally drained from a long day, its ability to override the striatum's habit loop weakens. That's not a coincidence. It's why the phone feels almost impossible to put down at 11 at night when your prefrontal cortex has spent everything it had hours ago, and why the same phone feels much easier to ignore first thing in the morning before the day has worn you down. None of this means you're broken or that your brain is defective. It means your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do, responding to uncertainty and possible reward with attention, the same system that once helped your ancestors notice a rustle in the grass that might be food or might be danger. Your phone didn't create that system. It just found a way to trigger it dozens of times a day, far more often than anything in the environment your brain originally evolved for. Knowing this doesn't erase the habit, but it changes what the habit means. It's not that you lack discipline. It's that you have a brain built to chase uncertainty, sitting inside a device engineered, whether deliberately or not, to supply an almost endless stream of it. So the next time you catch your hand moving toward your phone before your mind has caught up, you don't have to see it as a failure. You can see it as your brain doing exactly what brains have always done, looking for the next small piece of uncertainty and hoping this time it resolves into something good. Your phone buzzes, and for a second before you even look, some part of you is already hoping. Thanks for watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe for more such interesting videos. Cheers and goodbye.